Hello and welcome back to yet another episode of Arts Alive. I'm your host, Justin Neely, and today we are featuring a documentary from Steve Middleton. He is going to join us after these commercial breaks.
Are you having roommate problems? Maybe there's a problem with your room itself that you really just need fixed. Do you need some advice about school, but you're just not sure where to turn to? Did you know your RA can help you with all of these things and so much more? You can find your RA by knocking on their door, catching them during their desk hours, or calling your building's duty phone. Either way you cut it, go see your RA today. Discipline. Leadership. Strength. Enroll in Morehead State Army ROTC today and become an Army officer. Morehead State ROTC. Leadership Excellence. Located in Button Auditorium.
As promised, we are joined by Mr. Steve Middleton. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me on.
He's not only here to talk about his documentary, but he's also here to talk about the process that went in, maybe do's and don'ts to future people making documentaries out there. Without further ado, Steve, how about you tell the people about your documentary?
Thank you, Justin. This particular documentary is about Appalachian music and stereotypes that came from Appalachian portrayal of Eastern Kentucky people primarily in the media over the last 10 years. From some of the more modern stuff, you had ABC 2020 special, you had the producers of the MTV series Jackass did a series to pretty damaging to the Appalachian region. Media stereotypes follow. So this film was about how there are positive things about people in Eastern Kentucky, especially musicians, and how even at this university here, there is a program in traditional music that can actually benefit you and better you as a people. And this project was done a few years ago. Reflecting on it, this was one of the first documentaries I ever made, so reflecting on it, it's good to go back and see it and actually see how I have grown personally since then. And the process is sometimes a little bit scary, but always fun, and I've continued to make films since this point. So I hope you all enjoy it, and it's called Maintaining the Mountains. And we'll show it right now, here in just a second.
Appalachia has always been a place apart. From the settling of the rugged mountain frontier to establishing society and culture amongst diverse backgrounds and rural settings. Unique amongst the mountains were the melting together of musical styles and influences from all over the world, creating Appalachian mountain music. Music exclusive to the culture and communities of Appalachia. From the earliest sources of national media, Appalachians and mountain music have been stereotyped as unintelligent, lazy, feuding hillbillies. What was once a distinguishable element of Appalachia, the music has slowly and silently faded away, replaced with the long-running stereotypes placed upon it. I destroyed that wild boy's soul. Today, modern Appalachian archivists, university scholars, Appalachian historians, and musicians have preserved the music of the past and allowed a new generation to experience a rich part of its history and artistic innovations of a proud mountain people. He says, darling, now you're left alone. They carried me down to Frankfort town and they threw me into jail. And the saddest thing I ever knew, little Lulu wouldn't go my
I've been in my, I make my living primarily as an artist, and a lot of people, they want Appalachia to be just like everybody else. So my art, I feel like, comes in and says, we're not. Yeah, it used to make me ashamed a little bit too, where you almost wouldn't want to admit where you're from sometimes if you went somewhere, especially a big city. Is there something horribly wrong with that?
No acceptance, or very low acceptance of anything that had to do with hillbilly or country or anything like that.
Reckon you'd make a hollering noise too if you was to lay egg like that. Man, oh man.
Part of getting away from that traditional music is people being afraid of that negative sort of hillbilly stereotype.
The hot fields.
That music represents that to a lot of people. A lot of times even you'll go back home and you'll play the banjo and you get the same little comments that you do anywhere else these days. Like they want to hear you play the theme song from Deliverance, or they want to hear something that's just completely, that you don't care anything about.
Listen. Sounds like that one up there.
I think that was a big reason I didn't pursue this kind of music when I was younger. Anytime I'd have even a mandolin, everybody would call it a banjo, and it was just that stereotype of imagery that you get from those instruments. It's funny because I think the older we get in this culture, the more people start to relate to their heritage, and I see a lot of the students, college-age students, would be attracted to that idea, that they're kind of embracing their past. And but you get a lot of people that age who don't want anything to do with it except to make fun of it.
One of the reasons why bluegrass was successful is that the first generation of bluegrassers made a very focused attempt to not present that way. Whenever Bill Monroe would come out on the Grand Ole Opry, he came out with a band that was decked out. They were dressed to the hilt. Really did that on purpose, to steer people away from this stereotype of a hillbilly. Pictures of my family, my grandfather and his brothers playing, and they always were dressed nice in the 30s, in the 20s and 30s. They always dressed nice. Fit every other stereotype, They were, a lot of them were heavy drinkers, and they weren't very well educated, and they, I've heard stories about people busting instruments over each other's heads and that kind of thing. But they were dressed nice. They tried to appear as something different than this stereotype.
Do you need a way to find new music? Tune in to WPRC. Also hosted us Signal in the Sky, featuring new and current independent artists. Eric Riddle's Electro World, featuring dubstep and electronica. Tanner Boyd's Laugh, a great comedy show, full of laughs and gags. Derek Moore's Moorhead Metal Vault, a headbanger's delight, loud and in your face. Tyler Mullins' Bluegrass Connection, a classic experience and instrumental tradition. WPRC, great radio-style entertainment. Tune into the show, broadcasting on Channel 77 starting at 6 p.m. Also, check us out on Facebook.
Do you dream of being a radio DJ? What about recording music? Learn right here in our labs. Take part in one of the multiple productions put on by students. Edit in one of our labs. Start your career here. Much more than a major. Multimedia Productions.
Do you need last-minute snacks for your event? Maybe you need munchies for your late night study sessions. Either way, come on down to the MSU Pod Store, where we have all of the drinks, beverages, snacks, munchies, and candy to satisfy your late night cravings. The MSU Pod Store, located in Alumni Tower, open weekdays from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m.
In love with her? Yes, sir. An awful fool. Oh, what for you bought me?
When my father after he started preaching, he didn't let anyone on the outside know that he did, because he wasn't supposed to. But he would still get the old banjo out. He was the old-time banjo picker, and play and sing to make us kids laugh. You know, Arkansas Traveler and all those songs like that that he knew. And but the funny thing about it, there was always conflicts within those people, and there was a terrible conflict within him. I think he would have liked to have been like another Uncle Dave Macon or somebody like that, and I think he could very well have been.
There's a little rosewood casket laying on a marble shelf, and a package of old letters written by my true love's hand. Go and get them for me, sister. Lead them over and over to me. I have often tried to read them, but for tears I could not see.
These collectors, John Harrod, Mark Wilson, and Gus Mead, and all these guys who did the bulk of the field work in the 70s and 80s, they've been very gracious in donating their materials and letting universities such as Morehead and Berea and U of L have access to these and digitize them.
A number of musicians were getting up in years, traditional musicians were getting up in years, and these were the folks who the term oftentimes is thrown around a bit, who were tradition bearers, who had learned their music, fiddle tunes for instance, early 1900s, from elderly or up in years individuals, of pressure at that time of not just the endangered musical abilities of these individuals in the 1960s and 70s, but these individuals might have taken to the grave tunes that were being played much, much earlier.
The only thing that has saved us from that stuff just being gone has been the same technology of recording it and having recordings, having guys like John Harrod and Gus Mead and Mark Wilson and Nancy McClellan and Jamie Wells and, you know, all these guys that went around with tape recorders and recorded people. You know, what happened with those guys, I'm sure John told you, is that he caught the last of these people that learned pre-radio and pre-recordings in old age and recorded them, and really just that last slice of common people, not these big figures around, like, and not even this tiny slice, really, like that Alan Lomax got in the 30s. You know, it was a pretty tiny slice of extremely isolated pockets.
I'd already been recording everybody I could on a little cassette recorder. Again, just because it was there and nobody else was paying attention to it. And I didn't really think it was going to disappear, but I thought it was pretty important that somebody be getting it. I mean, those people were going to die because they were all old, but I didn't think it was going to disappear. But I knew it was important for somebody there that knew about it to make sure it was all kept. I was born in Kentucky. I've lived here all my life except for 2 years, and you know, my motive was to learn to play the fiddle the way they did, and you know, whatever money I made doing that has been negligible. I mean, I've spent far more of my time and my money to sort of help these things along than I've ever made money off of it.
When some of the collectors began getting out and doing field work, they did find that there were people sitting around on their back porches still playing. And there were lots and lots of people when people started collecting, you know, like Sharp and the different ones. They were surprised to find how many songs that these people still knew. And of course, you don't, unless you're singing that, you could not probably remember all those words.
Morehead State Career Services offers services and resources to partner with you in your career decision-making process with things like MSU JobLink, individual career counseling, Eagles in Flight certification program, and the Suit Bank. Don't forget about our career fair, March 13th in the Krager Room of ADUC from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Do you need last-minute snacks for your event? Maybe you need munchies for your late-night study sessions. Either way, come on down to the MSU Pod Store, where we have all of the drinks, beverages, snacks, munchies, and candy to satisfy your late-night cravings. The MSU Pod Store, located in Alumni Tower, open weekdays from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m.
I'm so freaking bored. I cannot handle another hour of the Kardashians.
I wish we'd go bowling.
Me too.
Great.
Your wish has come true. Wilson Lanes, located inside a Laughlin Health Building on campus, has 6 lanes of pure bowling fun. And now with automated scoring, $2 per game and a $1 shoe rental. How could you pass this up?
It's never going to be a commercially successful music. It's not going to sell millions of albums naturally, but it's a music that can hopefully pass on our past.
A lot of people don't even know what you mean by old time. You know, they don't know really what you mean if you say you're playing folk music. It's real crazy how that music is not, you know, general public doesn't really, know what it even was.
we have missed several opportunities to have our culture accepted.
You ain't gonna stomp out no fire like that, are you?
Huh? Oh, of course not. Don't want to burn my shoes.
I don't like for all things to be the same. And I think as a country, we're heading towards that. Everything's getting to be the same. Everybody listens to the same music. Everybody shops at the same stores, no matter where you go. I like the hillbilly stereotype, to be honest with you. I would much, it makes me proud to be from a place like that. When all the world, America, whatever seems to be going in this one direction, it's nice to think that there's still a place where, we're still people, still do certain things. They can, they raise gardens and they have a real sort of community. People wave at you, kind of thing. It's definitely a revival time for old-time music right now. Maybe that's even why I got into it. Maybe somehow I caught on to this revival. I don't know. I don't foresee it ever going away. I got into old-time music because it's very much the kind of music I can foresee myself playing when I'm 60 years old. Lord willing, I live to be 60 years old.
One thing, there's probably more access to these old recordings now than there ever has been,
There's really a great love, especially on the West Coast now, for Appalachian traditional music, which is kind of funny, but there are a lot of people from this region who've transplanted out there, and I think they search for that identity that they may have felt like they lost, and the music's one great way to make a connection to the past.
What we're finding more and more is that there's been some kind of a turnaround, and that there's a lot of young people who are coming back to the music. So there's that whole element of people. I played to some of them in New York when I was afraid to go on stage, but the place was packed. And it was just an amazing audience. And these were all young people. I said, how old do you think that these people are? And one of the producers says they're about 20, the oldest about 28.
I think there's definitely a revival because I've sold a lot of artwork to a lot of my old-time music inspired artwork to a lot of people from California, from people from New England.
The last 10 to 15 years, there have been these almost super groups that play old-time music.
With the digital age as it is, I feel like it may be stronger in a lot of ways. Some of the traditions will change, though, I think. Learning tunes is a lot different today than it was even 5 years ago, with the media as accessible as it is.
A tradition that was almost silenced has now been resurrected, with universities throughout Appalachia now offering degree programs and credit opportunities to study and research Appalachian mountain music and culture. The beautiful sounds and styles from the Appalachian Mountains can now be heard from a new generation, bridging the gap to the old. allowing the world to see the unique qualities and timeless beauty of the land known as Appalachia.
MSUTV's News Center, bringing you up-to-date stories and news. Weather. Sports. Broadcasting from Breckenridge Hall on campus, MSUTV's News Center is a student-produced program and airs every Thursday at 5. Be sure to tune in.
Hungry and only have a short break? Come to A-Duck. Come enjoy favorite restaurants such as Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell, Pio, Croutons, and Asian Express. Get in and get out fast. Quick and yummy.
Do you wish there was somewhere you could go for all your university-related purchases? Did you know that there is? The University Bookstore, located on the first floor of A-Duck, has all of your answers. They have school supplies, art supplies, university apparel, and of course, textbooks. Be sure to stop by and visit the University Bookstore today.
Hungry and only have a short break? Come to A-Duck. Come enjoy favorite restaurants such as Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell, Pio, Croutons, and Asian Express. Get in and get out fast. Quick and yummy.
That's all the time we have for today's show. Thanks as always for supporting Arts Alive. We will be back in the spring. Please keep tuned to the other programs that we provide for you. Also, we want to issue a special thank you to Steve Middleton and wish him the best of luck with all his documentaries. Until we see you again, be great, world.
Morehead State University's new state-of-the-art Recreation and Wellness Center offers you the opportunity to get in shape. Come enjoy our track overlooking the basketball courts, or take our bikes, ellipticals, treadmills, Stairmasters, and other cardio machines for a spin to help you break a sweat. And once you've worked up and breathing, pump some iron down in our weight room. Come visit MSU's new Recreation Wellness Center, open 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. on weekdays, today. Do you wish there was somewhere you could go for all your university-related purchases? Did you know that there is? The University Bookstore, located on the first floor of A-Duck, has all of your answers. They have school supplies, art supplies, university apparel, and of course, textbooks. Be sure to stop by and visit the University Bookstore today.